Hi, my name is Laura Smith. I am the Regents Chemistry and Forensic Science teacher here at Our Lady of Lourdes. This presentation is specifically on Regents Chemistry, so let's get started. First, some background about me. I'm originally from the Poughkeepsie area. I went to school up in SUNY Oswego. I studied chemistry, public justice, and behavioral forensics for my graduate degree. And lastly, this is my first year at Lourdes. I'm very excited to be here. I love the community so far, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the year brings. So, what are your students learning this year? They're going to be learning basic atomic concepts, the periodic table, different types of chemical reactions like acid and base reactions, redox reactions, which are also known as oxidation reduction reactions, information about salts, and different types of physical and chemical changes. There's definitely a lot that goes into chemistry. So what are your course objectives? Number one is developing analytical thinking skills. This course is cumulative and it ties together very well. And my goal is for your students to be able to tie together different concepts throughout the year. Another one is developing lab skills virtually. So this year, since we don't have labs in person, they're all going to be done through a lab program called Labster. I'll touch on that in just a few minutes. Next is learning how to properly interpret scientific data, whether it's in a table format or a graph, or even in a word problem. They're going to need to know how to properly interpret scientific data, and they're hopefully going to learn that this year. And lastly, just understanding the basics of the world around us. Chemistry explains a lot of things in our daily life, and I want to make that real world connection as well. Labster is our interactive lab experience that uses simulations. It teaches some fundamentals of lab safety, lab experiences, experiments, and it is really, really cool. I've done multiple Labster simulations myself. All of them will be available on Canvas as we do them, and they will correspond with the topics that we are covering in class. And I know that some people are very much visual and hands-on learners, so I've been trying to incorporate more videos into presentations during class, and I plan to do demonstrations as well in the future. So I did want to touch on COVID procedures really quickly. Masks need to be worn at all times in the classroom. There should be no talking with your mask off. You always want to make sure the mask is covering the nose and the mouth. And I try my best to give mask breaks periodically throughout the day. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I forget to give a mask break now and then, but I really do try to give your students that mask break. For attendance, I have had some situations where students do not have a charged Chromebook and they're at home and they can't log into class on time. This can be easily prevented unless, of course, there's a power outage, easily prevented by just plugging the Chromebook in and charging it overnight. That is how I take attendance if your student is remote that day. So it is imperative that your student is charging their Chromebook regularly. And for attendance, if your student will not be in class or they'll be dismissed early, any information like that, I would love to know ahead of time because administration might not get it to me before first period. And I do teach a first period chemistry class. So it will be very important for that email to be sent to me. Of course, it's not mandatory, but it would be really, really nice for me to know. The next thing is course policies. Classroom behavior and academic integrity. So classroom behavior, number one, is I don't tolerate disruptive behavior in the class. I haven't had many situations where there has been very disruptive behavior. So I like to keep it clear that everyone's there to learn, whether they're struggling a little bit in the class or they are acing everything. I want to make sure that environment is an equal playing field for everyone. And masks always stay on unless told otherwise. For academic integrity, goes without showing, plagiarism and cheating is absolutely not acceptable, and anyone who is plagiarizing or cheating will receive a 0 on their assignment. For homework, I post all of the homework on the Canvas page ahead of time. Typically, I'll post it during my first period class. If your student is absent, they should be checking the Canvas page. And if there's any questions about any homework assignments or what's due or anything, I still don't mind if your student reaches out or if you reach out about any deadlines. So there is now a late policy in effect. For the first few weeks, I wanted to be pretty lenient as we transitioned into hybrid or fully remote learning. And this late policy comes in, I think, at a really, really good time right around progress reports. So each late assignment not approved through me will get a loss of 1 point per day. And I know some teachers just don't even accept late work, but I thought this was a really good transitional policy for my class. So the grading guidelines are as follows. 35% of the grade is tests, 25% is quizzes, 15% is lab or the labster. I might also assign additional projects that would fall into this category. 15% is homework and classwork, and lastly, 10% is participation. So how to succeed in chemistry. Your students have been really, really great at asking questions via chat, via email, even in class, but I encourage you to tell your students to do it even more. I'm very much open to any type of question. I don't think any question is stupid, especially in a class that can get difficult over time. Your students can also succeed by completing assignments on time and taking the time to actually complete them. And another thing, absolutely reading directions carefully. That is a big one. Consistent studying will help your students succeed in this class. A lot of what is learned early on in this course is used later. So it's imperative that that baseline is strong so then we can build off of it. Through active class participation and making mistakes, I do believe those are two really good ways to succeed in my class as well. The two last things for succeeding, number one is practice problems. I've posted some extra practice problems on Canvas so far. And if your student tries these questions and gets them right, that's wonderful. If they don't, they can check their answers against my answer key that I post along with it. And the next thing is the extra help sessions that are going to be happening via Google Meet. I'm still working out the logistics, but they will be beginning after school around 2:30 p.m. They're only going to be available to students on their remote day, and they are going to have at least 2 students in attendance. But if your student really needs help with a certain topic, and they're the only person to show up to the extra help session, I can personally make a video and send it to your student. So looking ahead, in January, the midterm exam is occurring, and in June, fingers crossed, not sure if it's happening yet, going to do everything in my power to prepare your students for that Regents exam if it happens. And last but not least, my contact information. My email is listed below, smithL@ollchs.org. In addition, if you are an observer on Canvas for your student, you can just use the chat feature to get in touch with me. I'm fine with that. Or you can leave me a voicemail at the phone number listed below at extension 1101. If you have any questions or concerns or anything like that, please feel free to reach out. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of your parent night.